Have you ever met someone who just gave you that strange feeling? They smile brightly, speak warm words, yet deep down, something just feels off. You can't quite explain it, but your instincts whisper that something isn't right. There are people who make you believe they're your best friend. But the closer you get, the more trapped you feel, like you're caught in an invisible web. And the more you struggle, the tighter it wraps around you. And the scariest part, they might be right next to you. A colleague, a relative, or even someone you've trusted with your whole heart. Some people always wear the mask of kindness. They speak softly, offer help without hesitation, and make you feel like you've found a truly good soul. But behind that friendly smile hides a completely different person. They are masters of disguise, so skilled that it's nearly impossible to see where the act ends and the truth begins. They know exactly what to say and exactly when to say it to make you feel safe, heard, and understood. Slowly, you start to trust them more and more. But all of it, every word, every gesture, is a carefully crafted illusion. A mask built not to comfort you, but to manipulate your emotions and steal your trust. And before you even realize it, you've become a piece in their game, a pawn in a chess match you didn't even know was being played. What makes these people truly dangerous is how perfectly they behave. There are no obvious red flags at first. They speak kindly, act politely, and appear caring. But those are just tools to lead you step by step into a place where they can control you. In the beginning, it might seem like the start of a beautiful relationship, a trustworthy friend, a loyal partner, maybe even a cherished family bond. But the longer you stay, the more cracks begin to show. Things don't quite add up. What they say starts to contradict what they do, and that's when the mask begins to slip, and the lies start to surface. Unbelievable, right? They know exactly what to say, and when to say it to make you believe they're trustworthy, kind, or even your best friend. But deception runs deep in their veins, and if you're not careful, you'll find yourself swept up in their web of lies before you even realize it. The more you trust them, the easier you are to control. The thing is, people like this rarely align their words with their actions. They say all the right things and often even do the right things, but deep down, it's all part of a carefully orchestrated plan. It's about gaining your trust, making you feel comfortable and keeping you close enough to manipulate when the timing suits them best. They might act like they care, offering help or advice just when you need it most. Everything they say might sound right, but deep down, your gut tells a different story. Hard to believe, isn't it? At first, it may feel like a genuine bond, a friendship, a partnership, maybe even something that feels like family. But over time, the cracks begin to show. You start noticing inconsistencies. The little things they say don't quite add up. Their actions don't match their words. And slowly, the mask begins to slip. It's all part of their plan, slow, calculated, and deliberate. Unbelievable, but true. A truly evil person uses deception, like a sculptor uses a chisel, carefully shaping and molding your perception of them so that you never suspect a thing. They know exactly which emotional buttons to push to make you believe they're the only one who understands you, the only one who truly gets you, the only one who can help. All of it, every word, every gesture is part of the plan. Quiet, patient, precise. The thing is, their manipulation doesn't always happen in grand, obvious ways. Sometimes it's in the subtle gestures, the tiny white lies that seem harmless, the constant bending of truth, the half-truths that leave you unsettled. You hear what sounds right, but something feels wrong. Or worse, you feel nothing at all. It's all an illusion, perfectly crafted to keep you blind. And yes, it's all part of their plan. You might be surprised to know. Things get darker when you begin to ask questions. The moment you seek clarity, they tighten the strings. An evil person doesn't want you to think for yourself, they want to maintain control. If they can make you second-guess your own judgment, you're exactly where they want you. They'll twist your words, distort your actions, confuse your thinking until even your instincts feel unreliable. And just like that, you become a puppet in their game. Unbelievable, but it's real. It's a game of psychological chess, and you're the pawn. The most insidious part. They're not just deceiving you for their own benefit. They deceive everyone around you. They'll tell you one thing, then turn around and tell someone else the exact same thing, but with a twist. They play both sides. One story for you, another version for someone else. Everything sounds logical, but again, your gut says otherwise. And before you realize it, the lies spread like wildfire. They manipulate situations to make you doubt those who truly care about you while making themselves appear as the only one you can trust. They'll convince you you're the only one they understand, the only one they truly care about. And slowly, you become their puppet, again caught in their game. And while they smile to your face, behind your back, they're scheming. Their manipulation becomes second nature, so deeply rooted, they no longer even recognize the damage they cause. To them, it's all justified: the lies, the betrayal, the broken trust. In their world, everything and everyone is meant to be used, controlled, and exploited. Worse still, they rarely show any remorse. When caught in a lie, they don't back down, they double down. They'll make you feel like you're the one at fault, forever questioning them. They'll shift the blame, make you feel guilty, and in doing so, pull you even deeper under their control. The more you trust them, the easier you are to manipulate. And so you're left caught in the storm, unsure of what's real, unsure of what's true, unsure of who to trust. That's the very nature of deception. It makes you question everything you once believed about yourself and about the people around you. You begin walking on eggshells, constantly second-guessing, never knowing whether the person standing in front of you is telling the truth or spinning another story. The more you trust them, the easier it is for them to control you. But deep down, there's always that tug of truth, trying to rise to the surface, a quiet voice urging you to look deeper, to question more, to see past the mask. Because once you truly see it, once you recognize the deception for what it is, you begin to break free from the grip of the evil person in your life. So trust your instincts. Only when it's too late do you realize you were being led astray from the very beginning. When things don't add up, pay attention. When someone's actions don't align with their words, don't brush it off. Listen to the truth that's trying to speak to you, even if it's whispering. Because the longer you allow deception to persist, the more damage it will do to your peace, to your relationships, and to your life. Have you ever felt like you just can't escape the whirlwind of drama in your life? Like no matter where you turn, there's conflict, arguments, misunderstandings, chaos, and no matter how hard you try to find peace, the storm just won't stop. Believe it or not, this is no accident. It's all part of their plan, slow, steady, and intentional. You might be surprised to learn. The person behind this storm isn't someone who's simply having a bad day or going through a rough patch. No, this is someone who thrives on drama, someone who feeds off conflict. They create tension on purpose. Evil people love to stir the pot, to sow discord, to keep everyone around them on edge. And just like that, you become a puppet in their game. They are the ones who turn every little thing into a battle, even when there's no reason for one. It starts small, doesn't it? A minor disagreement here, a subtle argument there. At first, you think it's just life. You shrug it off. But soon you start to see the pattern. And again, it's all part of their plan, slow but sure. Sometimes, every time you're around them, something just feels off. There's always a problem, a misunderstanding, or some kind of issue that keeps getting worse. You try to fix it. You try to move forward. But somehow, you always end up right back where you started, stuck in the same toxic loop. This isn't just about occasional disagreements. This is about someone intentionally creating situations where conflict is the only possible outcome. And yes, it's all part of their plan, slow but deliberate. There's a certain kind of person who thrives on drama, and they'll do whatever it takes to keep it alive. You may have noticed they're the ones who poke and provoke, stirring up arguments for no real reason, even over the tiniest things. They'll tell a harmless little lie, start gossip, twist someone's words just to watch what happens next. The more you trust them, the easier you are to manipulate. Hard to believe, but they'll weaponize your vulnerabilities, your emotions, even your relationships, anything they can use to divide and conquer. And once the fire is lit, they step back and watch it burn, completely indifferent to the damage left behind. They'll say something subtle to make you feel insecure. And when you try to speak up, they twist it all around, making you feel like you're overreacting. Everything they say may sound reasonable, but your gut keeps whispering that something isn't right. Hard to believe, but what makes them truly dangerous is that this isn't just drama for drama's sake. No, they do it with purpose. The chaos they create is part of a much larger strategy. Their goal isn't just to stir up trouble, it's to stay in control, to manipulate the entire situation so that they always remain the center of attention. And just like that, you become their puppet once again. You might be surprised to learn. When conflict breaks out, they're the calm in the storm, not because they bring peace, but because they orchestrated the chaos. While others argue and stress, they sit back and watch, satisfied. The more drama they create, the more powerful they feel. And the more powerful they feel, the more they can manipulate everyone around them. Now you might ask, why would anyone do this? The more you trust them, the easier it is for them to control you. Hard to believe, but some people take pleasure in destruction. There's a dark satisfaction they get from watching others suffer, from watching someone fall apart, from seeing trust crumble and relationships break down. They feed off the chaos, because as long as things are chaotic, they stay relevant, they stay in control, and no one notices what's really going on behind their mask. And so once again, you become a pawn in their game. Sometimes the chaos is just a cover, a distraction from their own fears, flaws, and failures. The more mess they create, the less anyone notices who they really are. And this isn't limited to romantic or personal relationships. Evil people can turn any situation into a battlefield. Work friendships, even families. They divide, pit people against each other, and quietly destroy the harmony around them. Only when it's too late do you realize you've been manipulated from the very start. Sometimes they play people like chess pieces, turning them against one another, making them question their values, their loyalty, and their own judgment. They spread rumors, twist the truth, plant seeds of doubt. They use people like pawns in a sick game, and they don't care who gets hurt as long as they end up on top. Their goal is simple: break people apart, destroy unity, and keep everyone too divided to fight back. But here's the truth. The more you trust them, the easier it is for them to control you. There's a certain kind of person. These individuals are masters at hiding their true intentions. On the surface, they appear calm, composed, sometimes even playing the victim of the very chaos they've caused. They'll point fingers. They'll act misunderstood. They'll position themselves right at the heart of the conflict while claiming they never wanted to be there. But don't be fooled. The truth is, they're the ones who lit the match. They started the fire. And it's all part of their plan, slow, steady, and intentional. Hard to believe, but they're the ones who created the chaos, who sparked the flame, and they'll keep it burning as long as it keeps them in control. So, what can you do when you're caught in the storm? they've unleashed. The very first step is to recognize it for what it is. A cycle of manipulation, a system of control, a toxic pattern that only benefits them. It's all part of the plan, quiet but calculated. Sometimes you have to step back. Don't get swept up in their drama. Don't let them shape the narrative of your life. Recognize that you still hold power, the power to walk away, the power to choose peace, the power to say no to the chaos they're trying to pull you into. It's not easy, but once you name it, once you see it clearly, you can start to build distance from the destruction they so desperately want to trap you in. The more you trust them, the easier it becomes for them to control you. There's a certain kind of person. And in the end, don't let them use drama as a weapon against you. It's their tool, not yours. You don't have to carry their burden. You don't have to play their game. Step out of the chaos. Refuse to participate in their staged battles. Let them deal with the fallout of their actions. You deserve better peace, clarity, and emotional freedom. And no matter how hard they try to spin your world out of control, with the right strength, you can always find your way back to balance. But if you stay in their game, you'll only fall deeper into the role of their puppet. Sometimes, it's easy to overlook the signs, especially in the beginning when everything seems fine on the surface. But if you pause and look just a little deeper, you'll realize something vital is missing. Something fundamental. Empathy. You see, a truly evil person doesn't care about your pain, your struggles, or your hardships. They might act like they do, but they don't. And just like that, you slowly become a puppet in their game. Hard to believe, but they might say they understand. They might nod and offer you comforting words, but in reality, they're only pretending. They don't feel what you feel. They don't carry the weight you're carrying. And because of that, they can't truly help you when you need it the most. Worse, they might even enjoy watching you suffer. Because to them, your pain isn't something to care about. It's an opportunity, a chance to twist the knife and gain more control. It's all part of their plan, slow, calculated, and deliberate. Hard to believe, but empathy. Real empathy is the ability to step into someone else's shoes and feel their pain as if it were your own. It's about connecting at a human level, understanding the emotional reality of others, and responding with kindness, compassion, and care. But an evil person, they don't have that. And by the time you realize it, you've been misled from the very beginning. Sometimes, they simply can't relate to your struggles, because in their world everything revolves around them. Other people are just tools, things to be used, not individuals with real emotions or needs. You can share your heartbreaks, your dreams, your joy. They'll hear you, but they won't truly listen. They might offer a fake smile, a shallow nod, maybe even a scripted word of sympathy. But deep down, what you say means nothing to them. They're not moved. They're not touched. They don't care. And by the time you finally realize that, it's often far too late. Sometimes, it's not real to them because they don't truly care. This lack of empathy is a defining trait of evil. Why? Because it allows them to take advantage of you without even a hint of guilt. They can manipulate your emotions without hesitation because your pain means nothing to them. They can lie, deceive, lead you down a path of heartbreak, and it won't bother them in the slightest. It's all part of their plan, slow, steady, and intentional. You might be surprised to learn. To them, you are just a means to an end. The damage they cause doesn't register in their hearts or minds. They've trained themselves to shut off that basic human instinct, the instinct to care for others. Think about the people you've met, the ones who seem completely indifferent to the suffering around them. Yes, even that is part of their plan, cold, quiet, and calculated. You might be surprised to know, sometimes they're even the ones who make light of someone else's pain, brushing it off like it doesn't matter. They'll mock you for being too emotional, dismiss your struggles as being overdramatic. They might even belittle the very things that hurt you the most. These are the kinds of people who smile to your face, pretend everything is fine. But the moment you turn away, they're the ones gossiping, joking at your expense or worse, using your deepest vulnerabilities to gain leverage over you. And yes, it's all part of the plan, slow but painfully precise. They don't care about how you feel because to them, you're just a game piece, something they can move around however they want. And the real danger, they don't even recognize the damage they're causing. To them, it's not about hurting you deliberately. It's about getting what they want. And if that means stepping on your feelings, brushing off your pain, or using your heartbreak to their advantage, so be it. Everything they say might sound right, but deep down, your instincts tell a different story. Sometimes, in their eyes, that's just how the world works. People are tools. Emotions are irrelevant. And anyone who stands in their way, just another stepping stone to their personal success. In relationships, whether it's friendship, partnership, or even family, the absence of empathy becomes harder and harder to ignore. You start to feel lonely, even when they're sitting right beside you. Everything they say might sound right, but deep down, your instincts tell a different story. Sometimes, when you're hurting, they're nowhere to be found. Or worse, they minimize your pain. You reach out for comfort, hoping someone will truly listen, will truly care. But instead, they don't even try. They don't ask how you're feeling. They don't offer a shoulder to lean on. They simply redirect the conversation back to themselves, as if your struggles are meaningless, or worse, as if you're selfish for even bringing them up. And just like that, you slowly become a puppet in their game. Hard to believe, but it's not just about the big moments. It's the small things, too. It's how they react when you share good news. Instead of being happy for you, they subtly shift the spotlight back to themselves, dimming your joy in the process. They can't stand the thought of someone else being happy because their inability to connect emotionally leaves them feeling threatened by your success. And just like that, you slowly become a puppet in their game. Sometimes, they'll make your happiness seem insignificant, or worse, they'll downplay it entirely. If you've ever been in a relationship with someone who lacks empathy, you'll know just how draining it can be. It feels like you're always the one giving your time, your energy, your love, and receiving nothing in return. Everything they say might sound right, but deep down, your gut tells a different story. There's a certain kind of person, and what makes it even worse is that you start to doubt yourself. You begin asking, am I asking for too much? Am I being too sensitive? You start questioning your own worth because they've convinced you that your feelings don't matter. And the longer you stay in that cycle, the more you lose yourself, your identity, your confidence, your emotional balance. And just like that, you slowly become a puppet in their game. The absence of empathy isn't just a minor character flaw, it's a destructive force. It eats away at relationships, it destroys trust, and it leaves you questioning your own reality. A truly evil person, someone who can't feel or care about the pain they cause, will continue down that path, leaving behind a trail of broken hearts and fractured connections. All of it is part of their plan, quiet, steady, and deliberate. Sometimes, you don't have to stay trapped in that place. The moment you begin to recognize the absence of empathy for what it truly is, you take the first step toward healing. You can start rebuilding. You can protect your heart from those who can't or won't offer you the understanding and compassion you deserve. And in doing so, you'll rediscover your peace far away from the toxic presence of those who were never truly capable of caring for you. But for many, it's only when it's too late that they realize they've been misled from the very beginning. Hard to believe, but have you ever felt like you were being pulled into someone's web of manipulation? Like no matter how hard you try to move forward, there's always someone holding you back, distracting you, controlling your every move. It's the feeling of being trapped, of slowly losing your freedom, your choices, your voice. And yes, it's all part of their plan, slow, steady, and deliberate. There's a certain kind of person, and that's exactly what an evil person does. They manipulate. They twist the truth, feed you lies, and use your trust as a weapon, turning you into their puppet without you even realizing it. They don't always do it openly. No, they know how to play the long game. They know how to make you doubt your own reality, your own decisions. And before long, you start bending to their will without even knowing when it started. The more you trust them, the easier it is for them to control you. Here's the thing. It always begins subtly, doesn't it? A little compliment here, a small favor there. At first you think they're being kind, helpful even. But in reality, they're setting the stage for something much darker. They give you just enough to make you feel grateful, to make you feel like you owe them. And once they've planted that seed, once you feel indebted, that's when they start making their moves. It's all part of the plan, calculated and precise. You might be surprised to learn. At first, the requests seem harmless, small things you don't think twice about. But each one builds on the last. Before long, you're doing things for them you never imagined you'd agree to. They play on your vulnerabilities, finding your soft spots, your insecurities, and using them to gain power over you. They might even say they're the only one who truly understands you. And because you're feeling lonely or emotionally fragile, you start to believe them. And just like that, you slowly become a puppet in their game. There's a certain kind of person, but the deeper you fall into their world, the clearer it becomes. Nothing they give is ever truly free. Every gesture, every kind word, every favor is a calculated step towards something they want from you. They don't give out of kindness. They give with expectation. And what they give always comes with invisible strings attached. And just like that, you're no longer in control. You're a piece on their board, a pawn in their game. Sometimes, they'll use your kindness, your trust, and your goodwill as tools to slowly pull you deeper under their control without you even realizing it. And by the time you finally see it, it's often too late. You've been so twisted by their lies, their influence, their manipulation, that it becomes nearly impossible to find your way back to the person you once were. Only when it's too late do you realize you were being led astray from the very beginning. Hard to believe, but the manipulation doesn't stop at favors or flattery. They twist your thoughts, making you feel like you're the one who's wrong. They make you question your own instincts. They gaslight you. They'll tell you that things didn't happen the way you remember. They'll say you're being too sensitive, too emotional. They'll accuse you of things you never did, blame you for situations that weren't your fault. The more you trust them, the easier it is for them to control you. There's a certain kind of person. And the whole time, they'll make you feel like you're losing your mind. Because that's the goal, to break you down. To strip away your confidence, your self-assurance, until you begin relying entirely on them. Once they've shattered your sense of self, they step in as the one calling the shots. You stop trusting your own choices. Instead, you look to them for permission, for approval, for validation. You'll do anything to keep them happy. Anything they ask. The more you trust them, the deeper they take hold. Here's the thing. It's not just your actions they want to control, it's your emotions too. They know how to push your buttons. They know how to make you feel guilty even when you've done nothing wrong. They'll convince you you're too much, too needy, too emotional, too demanding, all the while ignoring their own flaws completely. Everything they say might sound right, but your gut tells a different story. You might be surprised to learn. They'll make you feel like you are the problem, and that they are the only one who can fix you. And the more they manipulate you, the more you start to believe them. Eventually, you begin to see the world through their eyes, and everything that once felt healthy and normal now seems wrong, even dangerous. And just like that, you become a puppet in their game. Hard to believe, but in a relationship, this kind of manipulation can feel suffocating. You find yourself constantly trying to meet their needs, doing everything you can to make them happy, while your own happiness fades into the background. You give up your dreams, your desires, just to avoid conflict, just to maintain peace. Only when it's too late do you realize you were being led away from yourself all along. There's a certain kind of person, but the truth is they will never be satisfied. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough. Because what they truly want isn't your love, your time, or your energy. What they crave is control. And the moment they gain control over you, they feel powerful. As long as you keep handing them that power, they'll keep using you again and again for their own benefit. Only when it's too late do you realize you've been misled from the very beginning. Here's the thing. You might think you can outsmart them, that you can play along for a while, keep things under control. But the more you give in to their manipulation, the more you let them shape your reality. And the more they shape your world, the harder it becomes to break free. It's a slow erosion of your freedom, your independence, your identity. Only when it's too late do you realize how far you've been led astray. Sometimes, by the time you realize how deep you're in, it already feels impossible to get out. But here's the truth. The key to escaping this kind of manipulation lies in recognizing it early. The moment you feel like your choices are slipping away, the moment you find yourself constantly defending your worth, the moment you start explaining your actions just to feel accepted, that's when you need to stop. Step back. The more you trust them, the easier it becomes for them to control you. Here's what matters. You need to reclaim your life, your thoughts, your emotions. You need to start trusting yourself again, to remember that you don't owe anyone your soul. No one deserves to control your spirit. It's not easy, and it won't happen overnight. But once you begin to see the manipulation for what it truly is, that's when your healing begins. Everything they said may sound right, but your gut always knew something was wrong. And in that freedom, you'll find the strength to become you again. They say we are the sum of the people we surround ourselves with, and it's true. The people in your life can lift you up or break you apart, and when you're dealing with someone who carries evil in their heart, they will do everything they can to tear you down. And yes, it's all part of their plan. Quiet, calculated, ruthless, there's a certain kind of person. One of the most chilling traits of an evil person is their ability to constantly chip away at your self-worth, without you even realizing it. They don't shout. They don't openly attack. They whisper. They manipulate. And they do it in such subtle ways you might not even notice the damage until it's far too late. They make you feel small, insignificant, unworthy of love, unworthy of respect. And worst of all, they do it in the name of love. They do it while pretending to care. Only when it's too late do you realize you've been led in the wrong direction all along. Here's the thing. Sometimes the manipulation even comes under the disguise of friendship. This kind of behavior doesn't arrive with a bang. It creeps in slowly, almost invisibly. At first they may offer you a compliment, but something feels off. It doesn't feel sincere. It feels more like a critique wearing a mask of praise. They might say something like, "Wow, you look great, but you'd look even better if you lost a few pounds." Only when it's too late do you realize you were being led astray from the very beginning. There's a certain kind of person. They might say, "That was a great idea, but if you had just done it differently, it would have been perfect." Harmless, right? It doesn't sound like an attack. But these kinds of comments, when repeated over time, start to accumulate. Slowly, subtly, they begin to erode your self-confidence. They make you doubt your talents, your appearance, your worth. And yes, it's all part of their plan, quiet but intentional. Hard to believe, but they leave you feeling like you're always just not quite enough. Like no matter how hard you try, you're always falling short. And it doesn't stop there. They begin to manipulate your emotions by targeting your deepest insecurities, pushing you to the edge of self-doubt. Even when you're doing well, they'll find a way to minimize your success. They'll make it seem like it wasn't that impressive after all. Only when it's too late do you realize you've been walking straight into their game from the very start. Here's the thing. They'll brush off your achievements or make it seem like it was all just luck. But when you're struggling, they'll zoom in on your flaws, amplifying every mistake, making you feel worse about yourself. They want you to live in a constant state of uncertainty, always second-guessing your decisions, always questioning your own worth. They want to keep you small, because when you're small, they hold the power. The more you trust them, the easier it becomes for them to control you. You might be surprised to learn they thrive on your insecurity. They feed off it like parasites, draining your energy, your spirit, and your confidence. When someone is determined to destroy your self-worth, they'll use your own vulnerabilities as weapons. They'll remember the things that hurt you most and bring them up at just the right moment to make you feel ashamed, weak, or completely worthless. The more you trust them, the easier it becomes for them to control you. They don't care about your healing. They don't care about your growth. They care about control, about keeping you beneath them. Because if they can convince you that you're not worthy of better, not worthy of love, not worthy of success, then they know they've got a grip on you. They'll tear you down emotionally until you believe you're not enough and that you never will be for anything or anyone. Only when it's too late do you realize you were being led astray all along. There's a certain kind of person. What makes this behavior even more dangerous is where it comes from. Often, it's from someone you trust, someone who knows how to speak the language of love, friendship, care. They say all the right things at all the right times, making you believe that they're the only one who truly understands you. Only when it's too late do you realize it was never about helping you. Their understanding isn't for your benefit, it's for theirs. They want to break down your emotional walls, make you feel like they're the only ones who can truly help you. And once they do, they gain control over your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. They create a world where you believe they're the only ones who get you, and that everyone else is too blind to see your pain. And yes, it's all part of their plan, slow, silent, and strategic. There's a certain kind of person. They'll isolate you slowly, subtly, turning you against the very people who truly care about you. It starts small, little criticisms here and there. That person doesn't really understand you, or that friend is just using you. At first, it might seem harmless, but over time, those tiny jabs begin to build up. You start to question the intentions of the people around you. Only when it's too late do you realize you've been led away from the truth all along. And you may even begin to distance yourself from the people who genuinely want to see you succeed. Why? Because the one who is slowly dismantling your self-worth has convinced you that they're the only one who truly cares, the only one who can protect you, that everyone else is either untrustworthy or incapable of giving you what you need. It's all part of their plan, slow, methodical, and deliberate. It's a classic tactic, divide and conquer, and they're experts at it. They know how to wait, how to be patient. They wait for the right moment, the perfect opportunity to strike. They plant seeds of doubt carefully timed to make you question not only the people who love you, but also yourself. And once they've created that emotional distance between you and those who care for you, they swoop in and position themselves as your savior, the only one who understands, the only one who has your back. And the emotional toll this takes It's enormous. It's all part of the plan, slow but devastating. There's a certain kind of person, and the damage they do runs deep. You start to feel like you're losing yourself, like you're not the person you used to be. You begin to question your own value, your worth, your abilities. You might even start to believe they're right, and that everyone else has been wrong all along. And that is the trap. They want you to feel completely alone. They want you to believe you're not worthy of anything better. Everything they say might sound right, but deep down, your instincts tell a different story. Sometimes, they want you to stay in their orbit, always under their control. But here's the truth. You are worthy. You are enough. The negative words, the manipulation, the emotional abuse, none of it defines who you are. The lies they've told you do not erase your truth. You are strong, and you deserve to be surrounded by people who lift you up, who love you for who you truly are, and who support your growth. And yet, all along, you were slowly becoming a puppet in their game. Hard to believe, but once you recognize that someone in your life is intentionally tearing down your self-worth, you must step away from them. You don't have to tolerate the toxic world they've created around you. You are worthy of respect, of kindness, of love. And when you decide to reclaim your value, when you stand tall in who you truly are, your sense of self becomes unshakable. Everything they said may have sounded true, but your inner voice always knew otherwise. Here's what matters most. No matter what they've made you believe, now is the time to believe in yourself again, to trust your own strength, to surround yourself with people who raise you higher. Only when it's too late do many realize they were being led away from themselves all along.